All right. Hi, Rohan. This is Dr. Abhishek, and I'm here to conduct an interview on behalf of XYZ company. And currently, I work as a medical director on this at this company. I oversee their phase 2, phase 3 clinical trials, and we have oncology and immunology products. So I looked at your resume, and I see that you have recently worked at Daiichi. So tell me, what did you do at Daiichi in your experience of being there for 2 years?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, as I've said, my name is Rohan. I'm a pharmacist by training, and I just graduated with my master's in HUR back in December. So, while I was doing my master's, I was the postdoctoral fellow at a company called Daiichi Sankyo Inc. Whether you're familiar or not, Daiichi Sankyo Inc. is a mid-sized pharmaceutical company focusing primarily on the use of ADC compounds for the treatment of oncology, different sorts of solid tumors and hematological malignancies. While I was at Daiichi Sankyo, my primary role was the design, the execution, whether in-house or through a third-party vendor, and the validation of various different HEOR and real-world evidence tactics supporting our phase 1 through phase 3 assets. We engaged in your classic bread and butter HEOR and real-world evidence techniques, such as cost effectiveness modeling, budget impact modeling, retrospective reward evidence studies, indirect treatment comparisons, all of the various different HO and reward evidence tactics that would classically support market access and medical affairs strategies. Because DSI is a little bit more of a smaller company, I also got to have some more unique experiences. So I got to have a lot of experiences engaging with KOLs, validating our results with these KOLs, understanding what the impact of our results were going to be and how best we were going to communicate them to the medical and payer community. And I also got to design some training materials for our field payer and medical teams.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So before Daiichi, I see that you worked again for a very short period of time in AbbVie. Why did you work only for 2 months in AbbVie? Was it a contract position?
So AbbVie and the other position that's on my resume, the UIC Department of Pharmacy Systems and Outcomes Policy, part of my doctorate was doing rotational segments for a set amount of time at various different companies. I got both treatment experience and also pharmaceutical industry experience. So that's the reason that it's so short. It's primarily because the whole experience was only 6 weeks for that and the other position that's on my resume.
So I see that you ended your project at Daiichi in August 2023. What was the reason for the project to end, and what did you do after that?
So the reason that the project ended was my fellowship was a 2-year contract position. Unfortunately, DSI was not able to retain me. It was purely a business and headcount decision. But ever since that point, I've done a couple of things. So I finished up my master's. I'm currently looking to publish my thesis in some journal. We haven't decided yet what's going to be the best one to publish it into. And then I've also gotten licensed as a pharmacist, which, if this doesn't end up working out, I'll probably start working as a pharmacist while I continue looking for my next opportunity.
Great. Are you licensed to work as a pharmacist?
So I've taken my first board maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'm taking my second one in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. So what kind of pivoted you from PharmD to going into EPI actually?
Yep. So I think that's a lot having to do with my background. Before I was even in pharmacy school, I actually used to work as a chemist. So I used to work for UIC's Department of Medicinal Chemistry, and I used to work in a drug discovery lab, basically doing large-scale liquid-liquid extractions to identify potential antibiotic molecules made by bacteria. I was always a very scientific type of person. Um, that being said, while I worked as a chemist, I sort of wanted more from my life, and my PI said I had two options. It was either get my PhD in chemistry or go for my PharmD. I ended up going for my PharmD, but I kind of realized that I wanted to get back to that research side of things. That being said, I didn't want to do like wet lab research. Wet lab research takes on average like 20 to 30 hours a week. I wanted something that was a little bit easier and a little bit less time consuming. So I started working for it was almost serendipitous in the fact, but I started working for UIC's Department of Pharmacy Systems, Outcomes, and Policy. So there I did a lot of work focusing on academic detailing and the effect of academic detailing on opioid prescribing habits. That's how I got into HEOR, and that's how I found my passion for it. From there, I just applied to the fellowship. I ended up getting it, and I've been in HEOR ever since.
Awesome, awesome. That's good. So tell me, that's good to hear from how did you do it? How did you pivot into it? That's a good story. But that being said, in the recent project with Daiichi,
Yep.
tell me what is something that challenged you in terms of implementing any kind of project roles, anything that you can think of
As an overall or project specific?
overall.
I think the hardest part of starting at Daiichi and going into this sort of role is the more technical aspect of it. HEOR is kind of odd in the fact that it's a very esoteric type of field for a pharmacist to go into. It's very technically heavy, and a lot of my background when I was coming out of pharmacy school was focused on patient-focused care and treatment. So when I first started at Daiichi, there was a lot of more technical things that I had to learn, and there was a lot of didactic learning that I had to do. So my manager, for the first maybe 4 or 5 months, all he had me doing was reading a variety of different papers and getting me up to speed on how to actually execute HEOR work from a technical standpoint. That included understanding what the basic tactics were, how they were executed, how they were done statistically. So things from um, getting my biostatistics knowledge up a bit higher past the your general descriptive statistics and your central limit theorem, that sort of thing. Understanding when to use like different distributions to determine average value, that sort of thing. But I'm rambling a little bit. It's the hardest part was the didactic and the technical portion. There's a very large learning curve and barrier to entry to HUR, particularly in that aspect. So a lot of my initial time was focused on just getting better from a didactic standpoint so I could actually contribute to the work, understand what we were doing, and understanding how it fed into our product strategies.
Awesome. So let me break here.